Hey, look who it is.
All right, do you want to tell us your CCH? You want to tell us the worst news in the world that you keep
Yeah,
hinting
bro.
at?
Let's get it
Let's
over
hear
with.
this. That's Jason Torres, I'm assuming.
I was like, who's JT next season as well? Yeah, man. It's totally over. That's it.
Okay.
So is that the worst news that you had for us?
I still think the fact that they have 2 weekend series left is worse than that. No offense to JT. Well, wait, we are actually, believe it or not, we're professionals that cover these teams, so we will wait for news out of the athletic department before reacting to something like that. He's obviously been out for several weeks and has not come back this year, which we knew.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, if this keeps up, we're going to lose a lot more than JT to injury. I'll tell you that much because this is brutal. Did win a series for the first time in 6 series.
How about that, huh?
Took out those mighty BYU Cougars.
Omaha.
Well, the big news is that allowed the not playing ACC games. It allows to make up a lot of ground. When you're at the bottom and everyone's losing all the time. Well, here I got the standings. I'll just pull them up.
Yeah, what
so
the 11th?
We've slotted into 11th now. The big thing is the top 12. The top 12 make the ACC tournament. So, I mean, this is the bottom of the Atlantic. You don't really see a top because we're nowhere near it. So, these are your 4 teams in play for 2 spots. Got the Canes at 18-16, Pitt at 6-18, Notre Dame at 9-18, Boston College at 8-19. Now,
what's our record in the ACC?
Right here, it's 8-16.
8-16.
Now, a couple of important points. Notre Dame and Boston College have played one extra series. All these teams, just like we played BYU last week, they played that non-conference towards the end of the season. Yeah. They're playing theirs this week. Now, we're 8-16, so we're up in the loss column. However, we're going to Blacksburg. That gap could close. Right now, we're comfortably in 11th.
Right.
Because we're sitting there with, we're up 2 in the loss column, 3 in the loss column on everyone. You just need to finish ahead of 2 of these teams.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy, by the way?
No, it's bad. It's gotten bad.
But
so
look at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
32-16, but they're 12-12 in conference play. North Carolina, who we took the series from.
Yeah.
Virginia, who we took the series from.
Yeah.
Still top 25 programs. Duke is a top 25 program. Clemson is obviously one of the best teams in the country still. Florida State's still up there. NC State, Louisville. I don't know if they're ranked, but
it's a tough conference, and we're one of the worst teams in it. So I think, the teams to watch for us are these 4 now. Notre Dame, I believe, plays Louisville the last week of the season. Boston College plays Clemson, and we of course host Pitt. So that's a money series to close the season out. Right now,
to take this series for Virginia Tech. Also,
I mean, if we take the series for Virginia Tech, we're definitely going to make it. I think realistically, the key is to not get swept.
Right.
If you're sitting there at 9-18 after this week, you're probably going to be ahead of Pitt, who you played in the last series, and Notre Dame and Boston College have significantly tougher last series than we do. You like your chances of not finishing 13th or 14th at that point. Basically, if we lose the Pitt series, we're done.
Yeah.
But if we win that, we're going to finish ahead of Pitt, and very good chance we finish ahead of either Notre Dame or Boston College at that point. So we're in.
We also lost Scanlon for a little bit, right? He got hit in the knee.
Yeah, and we've had the Perez experience.
Yeah.
And his, what is he batting, 161 or something?
Something along those lines. Oh boy.
Anyway, it's dwindling down to the end here, and we started off the year with the pitching, being a major issue, in particular the bullpen, all that. Now the team can't hit either.
Here's my thing, right? We talked about this, Vish, a lot. And you kind of mentioned it as well, right? Like, some of these guys are having really good individual seasons, but that really is not it's not correlating to more wins for obvious reasons, right? Fundamentals, mental errors, a lot of that stuff has been um, the reason why. Obviously, we're missing some players. I get that, right? So the injury bug has hit us pretty hard this season again, especially in the lineup. But man, even when you are winning games like against BYU, let's say you're winning these series, dude, we look terrible at the plate.
No, we suck, and
Our
and I
approach is so bad still.
and I think that that's something that I feel okay. I This is more anecdotal. It feels like we're getting worse. Because
Yeah,
I feel like you mentioned at the beginning of the year, it's like, how are we losing all these games?
yeah,
Like we're out hitting the other team. We're like constantly threatening. We can't get the key hit. We make the key error, like you said, the key mistake, and we lose. And we're like,
yeah.
yeah, we should have won that game. I mean, that Duke series, we blew two of the games and
Yep.
got swept, right? And they're ranked ninth. So we were right there, and we're like, man, we're right even with all these really good teams. And now, like you said, lost at the plate. We strike out a ton. Can't execute a bunt. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I know technically Fenster's our hitting coach, but he's not. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're kind of buying into his philosophies or however
I
he is.
mean, we'll have plenty
At
of
least not
time.
yet, right? At least not
Yeah,
yet.
and I mean, there's this series, then it's hosting. Uh, well, I mean that means Fenster's not doing his job, is what that means. But
Right.
anyway, if
He's
that's the case, but again,
You're
I
also
know
getting it from
we
parents, and you know how parents are,
yeah,
anyways.
I mean we're goofball hour a lot, but we do actually cover these teams. We're credentialed media, so we're not going to speculate on parents said this, rumors, and all of that. But I will say, and there'll be a lot of time talking about this because look, right now it looks like the Canes will make the ACC tournament, but obviously they get swept this weekend. It's like alarm goes off. But after that, they're going to go to the ACC tournament. They're not going to win it. We'll have plenty of time to look at changes that need to be made. But I think if you're not looking, at least thinking about these assistant coaches, our pitchers can't execute pitches, our hitters can't hit, our base running is terrible, our play in the field is terrible. I mean, we can talk about JD and his responsibilities, and certainly he has some, right? I mean, he's the head coach, he's responsible kind of for the whole thing. But
Right.
you can't argue these assistants are doing a good job either. And
Yeah, I mean Rob Cooper, another guy that came in with a lot of credentials. Obviously, Fenster did as well, and so did Laz. I mean, Laz is
yeah,
doing. I mean, you're seeing that the pitching is doing a little bit better, right? They are starting to grow up a little bit and pitching a little better. Um, but you still have some of these other guys. I'm not sure what Anderson does. I know that you've got who's the other guy? Who's coaching first base? Anderson, right? Anderson's
Anderson's and
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 Fenster's at third, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Anderson's at first, Fencer's at third. Yeah,
right. Well, the truth is, mental coaching is very important when it comes to pitching. And truthfully, he is also a pitching coach. That's what he does.
yeah. No, he's the pitching coach.
He's a pitching
We're
coach.
not. I
He
mean,
is
look,
a health coach, yes, but he is a pitching coach.
and he is the pitching. I don't know what you say.
I,
You said
I
he's the
yeah,
pitching coach. It's clearly Laz. Like I
yeah.
don't know.
Obviously, it's Laz. Yeah. So I
And
mean,
nothing's been good here. So I think everything is and look, like you said, Laz. I called you Laz. You could do a better job here,
happens all the time.
you could do a better job on them maybe with these pitchers, but
Yeah,
um well, they're not getting to first base, which is half the problem. But so what's he gonna do there? But I do think everything's on the tail for analysis. As you mentioned, though, there's been a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff has gone wrong. So assuming
yeah,
JD himself doesn't lose his job, which is not necessarily off the table, although it'd still be a pretty big surprise. He'll know, or he should at least have a good understanding of this is what went wrong, and
yeah,
some of it, might result in changes to the coaching staff. Again, I've made this analogy before. It does kind of a little bit remind me of Mario's first staff.
yeah. A
Bunch
little
of
bit.
all stars, a bunch of wow, look at the caliber of guys we got, and you know what? Maybe like they're a little bit
I don't care what anybody
overqualified
says.
for
I
the
don't care.
position. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. Laz came in, highly touted guy, highly touted coach. Okay, had a lot of experience, obviously in the pro level, but also was leading the number one ranked Division II team in America, and that was Nova for quite some time. and he was doing a hell of a job there. And he did a hell of a job wherever he was at all times. So that's you nailed it, Vish. Right, Fenster, another guy, coached USA baseball, coached the Red Sox as well, coached minor league baseball. I mean, these are guys that come in and I keep seeing here. Well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he didn't do this. He wasn't a pitching coach. He wasn't an outfield coach. He was only this. He was only that. I'm sorry, man, but I don't buy it. Like, so what the hell are they all doing? They're all just standing around, putting their fingers in their nose, not teaching or coaching or trying to develop these kids at all. It's only JD, and that's it. No, man. Like these guys are coaching these players. Whether they're doing it right or wrong, that's another story, right? It's different. Whether the players are buying in, because I can tell you one thing, right? When you're a player, okay, and you don't buy into what the coach is teaching you, you're gonna say everything else except that it was your fault that you didn't win or that you didn't execute, you didn't get that base hit, you didn't strike that guy out, whatever the case was. You're gonna make every excuse in the book for why you're not being coached up right. So for me, it's both. It's the players that are not playing well. They're not very good right now. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's the coaches that are not coaching very well. It's both. How can we can't say one over the other at this point. It's a mix of both.
Yeah,
100%.
it's definitely a mix of both. Yeah, no, some that especially now that the
Yeah,
injuries have come
sure.
in,
I can see that. I get that.
yeah, no, so that the injuries have come in, we're having to play guys that we weren't really
That are ready to play.
anticipating.
That are
Yeah,
ready to play.
or that we're just there for depth. I mean,
Yeah.
we're playing like, I mean, look, Sierra and Torres were coming into the year our top two guys. We didn't know that Cuvée was going to turn to what he is, and certainly didn't see Jacoby becoming the best player on the team. But taking
But
if you
guys like I agree, guys like Jimenez and Urso and
yeah, well, this is what happens, right? So Sear gets injured, then Torres gets injured. So now Urso has to play. Then we move Carlito over to first to try and keep Scanlon in the lineup too. He gets injured. Now Carlito's got to catch. We got Urso and Jimenez out there because Jimenez is playing short and Urso's got to play first. It's just like it just
crazy,
cascades through, and this you're like,
Yep.
this like that's why I was looking at I just pulled up the stats against BYU, and I mentioned this on Six String last night. It's like, man, the Mendoza line is back because we are all over that mother. That 222, we're sitting there like half this team is below it. Like if you were just above it, I think 8 of the 9 players we had at one point, I looked at the lineup that were in there were under 300. Like
That's wild, man.
and this is a problem, right? Like we're sitting here, and this has been and I'm going to pivot a little bit to this week's opponent because one of the challenges we've had is we can't hit bad pitching. And when you get into these situations, like our starting pitchers in particular, Gage Zeal has kept us in a lot of these games and caught losses for it, right? And even, we had to rally to beat BYU on Friday. BYU, by the way, is in addition to being, not a named baseball program, they're one of the worst power conference teams in the country, and they did get a game off of us, a comfortable win for them. But we, if we didn't, Mark Light Magic that big, we would have lost that series. That's despite Gage, having a strong performance again. But that's BYU's pitching is terrible. You should have double-digit runs against that team, and it shouldn't even be in play. And we've seen that in the ACC too. There's some teams that don't have good pitchers, and it doesn't matter because we can't hit them anyway. And this weekend,
look, I understand Cuvée has 17 home runs at this point, and 55 RBI, something along those lines. I mean, his approach still looks terrible, and he's young, so
Yeah.
I'll give him a pass per se. But some of his at bats, he just looks brutal out there, swinging at pitches, 5 feet out of the strike zone. I mean, it's just bad.
He is all feast or famine. He swings. He swings for the fences on every at bat, and every time the ball goes to 30, throws it as hard as he can. And it's all feast or famine with him. And like you said, his numbers have averaged out okay. The number of not just strikeouts, but like that might be the worst at bat I've ever seen until the next at bat. It's just like not even close in a lot of key spots where you kind of need, I talk about this a lot, but like, productive outs matter. And all these strikeouts and all of these, just horrible at bats, they cause you to not have productive outs. I mean, you're not even competing out there at the plate. And like you mentioned, and Cuvé's the best hitter on the team, and he's got these problems. It's just It is.
It looks bad, man. It looks
Yeah, no,
bad.
it is bad. The plate
I
approach
mean,
looks
I'll give him
terrible
a
across
pass.
the
He's
line.
a freshman. He has hit 17 bombs. He's hitting with about 350 right now. He's
Yeah.
got like 55. So he has solid numbers, but it's also a little misleading, right? It's a little bit misleading. It's the stats don't always tell the
Yeah, and
whole
I don't
story.
have that in front of me, but shout out to Max. He did. I know it wasn't Max. It was former Canes broadcasters, now like the lead broadcaster for Penn State's women's basketball and a bunch of sports up there, Justin Antwell.
Oh
He's
yeah,
his
yeah.
former student. He was like, you should check. And he sent them to me, and I don't have them in front of me. But he's like, look at Kuve's splits of non-ACC versus ACC, and it's like
Bad.
he beat up on the shit that we played, and then
course.
like as we got into better pitching, it's gotten really bad for him. And he had a good weekend against BYU because they're terrible. But we'll see. Now, going up against Virginia Tech.
Virginia
if he
Tech's
can,
got some solid pitching. They do.
they've got some solid
Yeah.
pitching, but I am really concerned because so one of their top two stars has been injured the last few weeks. Don't know if he's going to be back, but again, that doesn't seem to matter. We can't hit bad pitching either.
Yeah.
But they rake the shit out of the ball.
Yeah,
and
they do.
Yeah, they have I think 7 of their starters bat over 300. The 8th one is like 291 and has 18 home runs.
Unbelievable.
They are a power team. They hit the cover off the ball, and we are ill-equipped to get into a high-scoring game at this point, which is actually how we were winning games early in the year. And that's why you look at the injuries. I think it's 2 things. It's the injuries have come in bad, and we didn't have the depth to afford that, especially in the lineup.
Right.
And we never really got it all together because Sear got hurt right as Jacoby was starting to get it going. We never really had the full lineup together, but
think about this. Think about this. Also, the only transfer portal guy that we got on offense, right, as a hitter, was JD Ursel. That's it.
It was Costello too.
Oh, Costello, you're right. Well,
he's been a big disappointment.
Yeah, that goes to show you why I didn't remember, right? So, I mean, and that goes back to what we said a lot earlier in the season is the transfer portal this year is going to be important for Miami. It might suck a little bit also that we're seeing some guys leave, but sometimes you got to do it. You have to have a fresh start. You have to restart it. You saw Mario do it in football. The coaching staff might be rearranged a little bit also, but you have to. JD, right now everybody looks at JD and says, "Oh, JD is just very passive. He's very chill. He looks like a guy that kind of just goes with the vibes." Like JD better become a damn bulldog in the off season and go get guys in the transfer portal and go get studs, right? And start being a hard ass a little bit because that's the only way you're going to get this team back to where it needs to be. Again, it's changed in baseball and in basketball just as much as it's changed in football when it comes to recruiting and transfer portal. You're going to have to go and get some studs. You can't go into Division II and Division III St. Mary of the Blind and go get your pitcher there. Go after some of these big-time names. I don't care if they're old, but you're only going after them because they're Power 5 guys or, they sound good because they played at LSU and maybe he wasn't really good. I don't care. Maybe he is good. He's at a Power 5 school, P4 school at this point. He's at LSU over Florida Gulf Coast. Go get the damn guy in LSU. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to go after these guys, spend a little bit of money, okay, and go after and get some really good, really good baseball players in the portal because you're going to need it. Because as CCH mentioned, it's a hell of a recruiting class, but there's a lot of good pitching. There's a couple of really good guys that can play, that are I think one of them is a catcher. But you're going to have to fill some holes and fill them quick because right now, at shortstop, you're not ready to play anybody there. At second base, you lose Dorian this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Sear, I don't know if he'll be ready or if he'll even be here, right? Let's just be honest. It is what it is. You got to replace a lot of guys. Jacoby Long is gone. I think
Dorian's a junior, so he can come back. But
he could, but he might. He had a solid year, so it's a possibility that he signs. Because some of these bozos sign, as free agents when they could come back. So you know how it is with these guys. So if someone gives them the wrong idea that they think that they're going to be superstars, and they go ahead and they get drafted in the 42nd round and then sign. So
Long is gone. Scanlon's gone.
Scanlon's gone. Okay.
So we don't have
Carlito. Is Carlito gone?
I mean, I swear to God.
If he's not, he should be. AJ
Goyder
is good, but I don't know if he's the guy.
Well, this is also, this is
it's
where
not like it's Garrett Kennedy waiting on Collins to leave or something like that. You know what I
this
mean?
is also, the fact that he has not gotten more play, given that Scanlon's been injured now. I mean, what exactly is playing Carlos doing?
I don't know.
He's batting like 160 something.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point,
JD Jones is not on this team anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he transferred out.
JJ Jones is gone. But I think Rutgers, I believe. But
yeah.
But no, I mean, this would have been a great chance to give Goyche some action, evaluate him, but also let him know he has a place in this team because he could hit the ball easily. I am play behind this clown.
Yeah, look at that. JD Jones is batting 350 at Rutgers.
How about that? Yeah. Well,
how's Carson Ligon doing at Mississippi State? That's what I want to know.
He was working out of the bullpen earlier there. I don't know where he's at now. We obviously would be a starter here because
I mean, shit.
But
where's Caden Martin? Where's Caden Martin when you need him? You know, I wonder what he's doing right now. Playing football somewhere instead?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, no, we've had, we're gonna lose some guys to graduation, some guys to the portal, and we need several pitchers, and we need multiple players at some of these. We don't have a first baseman if Torres isn't healthy. We don't have a catcher. We don't have a shortstop. If Dorian comes back, we have a second baseman, assuming Cuvée back at third.
Yeah.
I guess Sears a left fielder now, so he would be left field. Then we got to fill in the rest of the outfield. Like, that's a lot.
Yep.
Because we don't have anyone promising outside any of those positions.
I mean, Eric Fernandez obviously didn't get a lot of playing time. He's still developing. I could see.
I mean, you feel like at this point, though, unless someone's injured, like if they're not getting in there, I guess Villegas is still a junior.
I mean, come on.
Gabby Gutierrez is a junior. Gulakowski is back.
It's not even about guys they should keep. It's guys that are going to want to stay and not leave, right?
Yeah.
At this point. So I didn't know Caden Martin retired. I thought he just left to go play somewhere else. That's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder if it was some sort of injury that he couldn't play anymore. But that kind of sucks if that's true.
I think some of this is, what the role is. Hialeah Hernandez has been thrown BP most of the year. So
it's a shame. Yeah,
I mean, situational lefty, maybe if he's like still in the rotation, it's probably not a good thing. And then, somebody like, I guess we'll get Renzo back. It's been injured obviously the whole year.
Yeah.
This is not a good roster to begin with, and we're gonna lose a lot of guys. So Jay's got a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's our number one starter, JD might as well start filling out his resume because
we're in trouble if he is.
He's
got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he can get better, but
he's got good stuff. You see it, he's got good stuff. He can
get better. This is again part of what what you were talking about earlier. It's like we're not really seeing the coaching impact on any of these kids. Yeah. Who is getting better? Who is improving? I'm not seeing.
I don't see any of these guys being starters next year either, right? Like, maybe Brian Walters, maybe.
I think he'll be the closer, probably.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, he might end up being the closer, but
I think Vargas might start.
God, I like him, but he's a kid that throws 85, 86. He just has that sinker, right? That sinker, that that cutter, whatever that dives in on guys. So he's gonna. To me, he's not a number one or a number two. If he's gonna be your Sunday guy, maybe. If he's gonna be your midweek guy, maybe. But I just don't think he's.
Well, we don't really have a number one on the roster. So
yeah.
That's one we're gonna have to.
I don't know
to figure out. Theoretically, Gage can come back, which would be huge, but I don't.
I wouldn't if I were him.
I don't count on it. Rafe could also technically come back. He's a junior.
I wouldn't if I were him either. I mean, if you get drafted.
Yeah, no, if they're draftable.
Relatively high. I'm not going to say, 5 in the 5th round, but Gage could go that high, right?
Yeah, no, he could. They both could because Rafe's a lefty, so they have value.
Projectability. It's all about projectability when it comes to the big leagues, and Gage he's not very tall, but he's maybe 6 feet tall. He throws about 94, 93, 94. That's not bad. That's someone that could definitely go. But you got Rafe, who's about 6'2", lefty, that kind of arm slot, throwing 93, 94, you can get it up to like 95. Um, all they got to do is work on his control a little bit, and you got yourself a stud from that. I mean, look at Palmquist. Palmquist was kind of out there like that too. I mean, it's hard to compare those two, but still, I think that's they've got those guys are definitely draftable. So it's gonna be tough to keep them around, but they're gonna have to do a lot of work. They're definitely gonna have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
We'll see in these next couple of weeks. We'll
Yeah,
see what JD does.
again, this weekend at Virginia Tech, they are tough at home and they hit the shit out of the ball.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to find offense from someone. I don't know where it's coming from. We cannot, if we get swept, that puts us. I pulled the standings up earlier. That puts us out of the tournament going into the last week.
That would suck.
But if we at least get a game, we'll be in there.
Yeah.
And then just need to really win the Pitt series.
Right.
But
we'll see what happens, man.
Right. I mean, this is the big thing. CCH is on paper. They got to make it to campus. We got to hit the portal hard anyway. We just don't have. We don't.
The portal's going to be very big.
I don't know how the roster got to this state, but it is. They're flatly guys that are on the field where like that guy should.
What happens, man? It happens. Look what happened to Mario's first year, right? At first, we're like, oh, he was able to recruit well. He had a top 10 recruiting class. This could be good. He's got Kevin Steele and this one and that one and the other one. Oh, forget about it. And then all of a sudden, you start losing. You start losing bad and ugly, and shit happens, and you're like, oof. And then everybody loses confidence, and the wheels come off. Players lose morale. And it looks worse than it could have been had they won a couple of those tough games. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of those things that are happening now. Also, I mean, if this team is 32-16, we might be looking at this a different way and saying these guys.
Yeah, I'm just talking. I'm talking just like on a talent basis, like it's down bad. But also the injuries didn't help. Is this worse than basketball?
Yeah, I think
it's on par. In basketball,
yeah, but basketball's kicking ass with their transfer portal. So
but we're talking about. I mean, the preseason expectations were very different. We were picked to finish second in the ACC in basketball, and just next to last, lost our last 10 games. So yeah, I mean it's just similar in terms of disappointment and just can't seem to string anything together.
Right.
Like even look, BYU's not good. We won those first games. Like, man, if we could sweep them, at least get some momentum. No, we got killed on Sunday. It's just like, come on.
Crazy, man.
We can't string anything together. Like we finally won an ACC opener and get bashed 2 games in a row to the point that we lost 17-1 on the Sunday game against Georgia Tech. Got 1 hit. I mean, this is they're kind of in range, but we'll see. After that, next week is the big. I mean, we got to at least get one this week, and then next week, Pitt. You got to win that series, get to the ACC tournament, at least avoid that.
Is Pitt at home?
Pitt's at home. They're one of the teams we're battling with, so that's why if we can get one this week, we'll be okay shape going into the last series. Then just got to take care of Pitt.
There's a strong possibility I'm not going to pay attention to a single game this weekend, for obvious reasons.
Yes, it is a celebratory weekend for Jazz. Celebratory weekend for all the mothers out there, but especially for Mr. Santana. This is his birthday is coincide with Mother's Day.
Yes, it does. So I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about next week, though.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the season-ending series against Pitt.
Yes,
last 3 games at the light.
Oh boy. Anyways,
all right, we got buckets tomorrow night. This time for real. Jasmine Roberts is coming on. She had to cancel last time, but she's coming on tomorrow. So
awesome.
That'll be fun. And then Sticks for next Monday. We'll be back here Tuesday. Jazz.
Let's do it. Adios.